So Final Fantasy month continues here on BitSocket with a wee impressions piece about Final Fantasy 15.
A taster.
The first.
It's a taster.
Ah, a taster. We'll call it a taster. A reaction to the first hour, because we've played it. We've played the whole hour.
We have indeed.
15. What do you think of it, Scott?
I thought it was bland. I was very impressed with it. It definitely allays a lot of kind of fears.
Concerns.
A lot of concerns. Like, obviously, quite enjoyed the Dusky demo and the Dusky
Wait,
demo.
can we? Is it Dusky?
Dusky. Well, I'm potato. Potato. Dusky.
So we actually got to recording footage. So what you're watching here is actually us, well, taking turns playing the game. A wee hint: see if they're terrible at the game. It's probably Scott playing, and if it looks as if it's been played by somebody who's alright at it, it's probably still Scott. Instead of showing you the whole hour of footage, though, because you probably watched other people play this same desert.
Also, like, there's something to be said for playing it yourself.
Yeah, playing it yourself. But we thought we would talk about 5 general points. 5, not quite a top 5, but 5 good things so far.
Yeah.
So we'll each elect one to talk about, right?
Okay.
So I've got one.
Okay, go.
Right. Easy. The fighting.
Easy.
I feel like they've really tuned the fighting system, because we've had the fighting in episode Dusky, which was where you had to set up your combos and stuff beforehand in a menu.
Yeah.
And now they've, similar to the Platinum demo, you can just switch weapons on the fly using the D-pad. It's a completely different version of fighting compared to Dusky, and for me it feels like spot on. You know, it feels nice being able to switch which weapon you're using on the fly. It makes much more sense than having to set it all up beforehand.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the way it was before, but I think it made it feel a lot more technical. Yeah. And it felt like to me that what would happen is you'd find one that you liked and you wouldn't change it.
yeah, that's happening.
You know, that happens in some games though. Like, it's like, in fact, well, I know, Final Fantasy 13. Once you kind of had a good setup in terms of what characters you wanted and their abilities, you didn't really switch it up too often. So they give you all these options, but you're going to be like, no, this is the easiest way. So I'm glad they've made it a lot easier, so you're going to experiment more with it.
I think one of my favourite things is just the team up attacks. It's just they're so much easier to do than they were in the demo. Yeah. And they look ridiculously cool as well. Right, so what was your favourite out of the ones we saw?
Team up attacks. Well, it's probably the Gladio one. So
where you stand on his sword.
Stand on his sword and he throws you up in the air. So, but what's interesting is a lot of them are not just who you're standing near, but also the weapons. So that's apparently if you've got the spear selected. Yeah. So there might be another move if you've got the short sword selected. Yeah. So that gives you lots of ideas of like the combat. If you're mixing it up, it's probably never going to be boring. Like, you're going to see different things every time, which is that's a really nice idea. So talking about the team then. So one of the things that's I think I've grown more fond of it, and getting to play the first hour, I get a better idea of how it works. Is the team bants? The lads. The banter.
The lads on tour.
Hi guys, we're going to have some banter in the car.
Yes, we're going to have some top banter.
But it does work.
Yeah, it does.
Because I've gone from playing a few games where you're kind of on your own to a degree, and there is something nice about having people chat back and forth and kind of comment on what you're doing. You do get the feeling this is just a bunch of pals. Like, obviously, what's his face? Noctis is like the son of the king. So there is that kind of separation between.
He's always got that trump card.
It's like Donald Trump card. So there is that difference between them all, but there is that. I like them, and I think they are quite distinct as well in terms of their characters, and their voice acting isn't annoying.
Actually, it's not. It's a turn up for the books, especially after World of Final Fantasy, which was the terrible.
I think it comes quite evident in the car sections, which is something else that hasn't. I like it. Because the cars aren't designed. It's not designed to be like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, it's not.
It's meant to be more of, you get in the car, you can drive if you want. Can't do much driving, as you can see from our videos.
Although you can still crash the car, can't you, Scott?
You can crash the car. Yeah, you crashed the car at the beginning of the demo.
Yeah, as well. Sadly we can't show that bit because we weren't allowed to record that bit. But
but you crashed that as well.
Yeah, I quite like that. You can come to an emergency stop and make everybody kind of dump their heads off.
That's really good. You kind of accelerate the car a little bit, then just brake it, and they all jerk forward. Yeah, that's probably the best bit of the game.
And that brings me to the attention to detail. Now, it's a weird one that I've never seen such translucent eggs in a game before.
Such beautiful eggs.
Such beautiful eggs. Like, I think the high point for eggs in video games up to this point was Metal Gear Solid 4, but they were FMV. It was cheating. It was cheating. You're getting away with cheating instead of having a proper 3D egg on screen.
Hideo the cheater.
I mean, the thing is, you just have to look at Ignis. Turn the plate around and egg wobble slightly.
Bit of egg wobble.
Nah, a bit of egg wobble. And
that took 3 years.
Yeah. That isn't the only thing that wobbles, which brings us to a bad point in the game.
Yeah, so... Aye. What's her name again?
Cindy. Right, I'm torn with this one, right? Because on the one hand, yeah, it's despicable, right? It's this typical video game shit. But at least a little bit of thought has been put into the design of the costume, even though it is a bit shit looking.
So much thought.
But well, you know what I mean? It is iconic in a way. Like, you do, when you close your eyes, you can imagine. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
No, explain.
Right, no, what I mean is, like,
I'm holding you to account.
There's a lot of games where
you thinking Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5.
Aye, there we go. That's the lie.
You'd be ashamed when you find out why she's wearing that.
I know. I was ashamed of Hideo Kojima. Aye, compare it to Quiet. Quiet's literally, I'll slap a bikini on her. There we go.
Yeah.
But at least, you know, it's something slightly iconic. I mean, I wish you'd
be ashamed when you find out why Cindy's wearing it.
I know. I will be ashamed when I find it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. What other good point?
Other good points. Well,
we've got 2 more to go.
We're not going to go into it in great detail.
No, we won't.
But the opening of the game, I mean, surprised me.
Yeah.
But I've avoided so much about this.
Yeah.
So I've not watched a lot of the trailers. I've not watched the new trailer.
Yeah.
I've avoided watching other people play the game.
I think a few other websites have streamed the very start of the game.
Yeah.
And so, but we don't want to give away just in case you've not seen it. But
I think if you can avoid it, I think
avoid it. Yeah. But there's a little thing that happens before the bit of the nose where you're just pushing the car down the road. So.
Yeah, and it sets up what I think could be like an amazing idea. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it kind of gets you thinking, oh shit, this game might actually be worth the amount of time that it's taken to come out.
Put it this way, if you've been worried that all you've seen in this game so far is 4 people running about a field slashing away at a cow, right? Yeah. And you're worried that it's not going to have that epic Final Fantasy-ness to it.
Aye, no, that it kind of allays that.
Yeah, it laid that fear.
I think that's probably a big thing that I think people have maybe felt for a while with Final Fantasy. Like, it's not had that same feeling like of a world-changing event. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know you love it, but 13, like 13's like so confusing.
Aye, it is.
Like they invent so many different words.
Yeah.
But then you're like, right, so if I'll see good, should I be able to see? You don't know because the words are meaningless. Whereas, I think from the outset,
I've actually come up with a very good idea for a video we should do for Final Fantasy Month. I try and explain the plot of Final Fantasy 13
well,
to you.
That'll be good. I'll make sure to watch that.
And that brings us to our last point. And I think this is probably the most important one. Final Fantasy 15 actually exists. Right?
It does.
After 10 years, at times I thought, nah, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Back when it was called Final Fantasy Versus 13, and even after it changed name, it disappeared off the face of the earth again. But it's finally a thing that's going to happen, and we've actually.
When was 13 Versus announced? Cause was it announced alongside?
Was it 2006? 10 years ago.
Was it announced alongside 13?
Yeah.
And it's such an achievement considering that. Like the franchise itself has changed so much since 2006 to now. Even since they showed the first videos of what 15 was going to look like to now. I mean, it's not just 15. You've got Kingsglaive, which we're going to be watching.
Yeah,
part of our film club. It's such a big thing. Only playing the first hour, so it's difficult to always be like, well, based on the first hour, it's the best game ever. But what it left me was just with that feeling of I want so much more. I want to explore the world and hearing what is coming in it. That it felt like it wasn't like we weren't even. It's almost like with what we played, it's not even fair to say we barely scratched the surface. It's like we barely hit start to load the game. That's almost how it feels for what we've seen.
Yep. So that's our impressions of the first hour of Final Fantasy 15. Now,
do a proper impression.
I can't.
Hey, well, Noctis. I forgot what every character in the game sounds like.
Well, Ignis sounds like this.
That's quite good.
Prompto sounds like this. And Gladio sounds like this.
What does Cindy sound like?
And Sandy sounds like this.
Oh, hi. That's quite good. Wait there, let me just close my eyes a minute. Say it again. Say, do you want some eggs?
I'm gonna have to ask Papa to fix the car for you.
Nah, I've lost it.
We're going to be continuing some more Final Fantasy goodness over the next month. So we've got the BitSocket Film Club returning, where we're going to be watching all 3 Final Fantasy movies, for better or for worse.
For a special month of...
Yeah. We've got a few videos coming. We've got a special Final Fantasy podcast coming as well, with a couple of special guests.
Yep.
And of course, we're hoping to top it all off with a review of Final Fantasy 15 when it finally comes out.
But fuck it if we don't.
Well, yeah. But what I mean is, when we finally get the game in our hands, we will review it. Yeah, it might take us a while to actually play the game. Yes, it's meant to be huge. So keep checking back on here on YouTube and on the website bit-socket.com, and you won't miss a thing.
You don't want to miss a thing.
I don't want to close my eyes.
Sing it like Cindy.
I don't want to. No, I can't. Don't want to close my. Don't want to close my. No.
Oh, that was going. That was really bad.
Adding insult to injury.